I am from Silicon Valley, and much to my father's chagrin, he was an academic, but my mother, computer programmer's happiness, one of my very first words was pooter, or computer, apparently. I think it was after Mama, so that was a good thing. And about 10 years ago, I moved to London, and I live in just a stone's throw from the Silicon Roundabout. So creatively, naturally, I work in the digital space. And today I'm here to talk to you about something that's actually probably a lot less sexy than you would imagine a talk called Rethink Mobile is going to be. And we did some research about a year ago into how mobiles are changing the way that people shop. And although the research was very focused on mobile commerce and what people are doing on their phones, I actually think that some of the lessons that we learned from the research are quite relevant, whether you're an entrepreneur thinking about where to spend your very finite resource of maybe just your own time, or you're one developer, or you're a CEO deciding whether you should spend 20 million pounds on your mobile strategy, your digital strategy, or just you're updating your deep back-end IT. And so during the course of this research, I learned a new word, which is Nomophobia. And this is the, I find, rather interesting concept that 2 out of 3 people say that they can't actually imagine spending a day without their phones. This is people who are so afraid of being without their phones that actually more people say being without their phone is scarier than people are afraid of their taxes, than they're afraid of spiders, then they're afraid of doing this, of public speaking, or then they're afraid of death. More afraid of being without your phone than you are afraid of dying, which is an interesting and perhaps really sobering concept for a lot of us. But it's not so much these actual little shiny devices that we're so addicted to, maybe with the exception of the folks who like to sleep on the streets for a couple days ahead of the next iPhone release. It's actually what they've enabled us to do and be as people that's actually different. And it's enabling, picking up on Ruth's word, it's enabling mobility. I can do anything, anywhere, on any device. I don't need to be sat behind my computer. I don't need to be at a desk. I can do anything I want to, anywhere. And when I often say, so as a consultant, I often talk to clients and they say, well, yeah, mobile, it's great. We're gonna build an app. And it's going to be as good as Google and eBay and Facebook and Amazon all in one. And it's going to happen in, say, 3 months, and it's going to be cheap because it fits on this little tiny screen. How complicated can it be? And if I had a dime for every time I heard that, I would be a rich woman. But actually, what I'm going to talk to you about today is the fact that some of these things that go into making a great mobile experience are the things that are really, really unsexy. And while this is a magpie, while many people like to talk about the things that VCs love to invest in, or that Wired wants to write about, or frankly that people like to talk about at the dinner table maybe, at least some dinner tables, it's actually the really unsexy stuff that matters. So magpies, as you probably know, they get drawn to the shiny stuff. And while the shiny stuff is great and exciting, it's not necessarily what's going to make people want to download or use or indeed keep using your mobile experiences. And now this is not to say, and this is an important point, this is not to say that innovation doesn't matter. Of course it does. I'm from Silicon Valley. I grew up living and breathing this stuff. And I'm certainly very, very happy that I can take an airplane home and not just a really fast horse. But that doesn't mean that you can ignore the fact that some of the unsexy stuff really does matter. So we did some research over the summer, and there were 4 myths that came out around things that people often think or say around mobile that I'd like to take you through. So the first one is the app is the answer. And the idea here is that many people get really excited about apps. There are something like 2 or 3 million apps available on the Apple iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. But actually, when we ask people, do you actually understand or care about the difference between a mobile website and a mobile app? Very few people actually noticed the differences or cared. And actually, when it came to shopping apps, only 7% of people said that they had more than 5 apps. The vast majority had 2 or fewer. So this basically means they've got probably Amazon, and if you're in the UK, they probably have their favorite grocery shopping app. So the bar to get onto people's phones is actually quite high, and the bar that's even higher is to stay on the phone. More than half of people who came in, who we spoke to, said that they actually deleted apps if they weren't using them regularly. Now, this is not rocket science, but it's harder to stay on somebody's phone than just getting downloaded once. Now, the second myth is that the difference between good and great on mobile is the shiny stuff. I referenced this a little bit before. But when we asked people, what are the things that actually contribute to your liking a mobile website or an app and get you to keep on using it, they didn't say the really cool videos or the super fun game. What they did say was, I want the top three things were, 1, load speed. Is the website or the app, is it fast? Is it just not painful to load and get the little ticking clock? The second one is site navigation. If I want to get back to the homepage or get to a category or whatever, can I actually find my way there? And the third one is checkout. I mean, how many of us have tried to buy something on our phones and struggled to type in our credit card number because the screen is so fiddly? These are not things that are rocket science, but if you don't get these basics right, you won't earn the right to get people to go and interact with your really engaging content, play your game, watch your video, etc. Myth number 3. Now, this is a very retail-specific one. And this is that showrooming is a showstopper. And this is the idea that we're all walking into stores, whipping out our phones, and barcode scanning prices and checking to see, could this thing be cheaper online or, elsewhere down the road. And the fact is that most people are doing this. A lot of people are doing this, and that's okay. But actually, 2/3 of people said that when they did go on to make a purchase, they actually made it offline, in a store, not online. And while about 40% said that they at some point had gone on to buy from Amazon, just as many said that they had bought from that same store. Now, the lesson here is, unless you own a shop, the lesson here is not so much about the showrooming and barcode scanning, but that if you focus on the thing that you're most afraid of, which in this case is people buying online and not from your shop, you run the risk of forgetting about all the things that you do control. You do control your shop experience. You do control the employee attitudes or their ability to help people. So how can you influence the things that you do control to make people choose to come back and to choose to shop with you or to choose your product, your experience? Which brings me on to myth number 4, which is that humans are dispensable. Now, this is probably my most favorite, because being a digital person, for the last 12 years, everybody expects everything I'm going to say is all about, technology and automation and, all things digital. And while, of course, digital can save companies a lot of money in terms of, rethinking processes and taking mortgages down from 40 days to 40 minutes of approval, the idea that humans are dispensable is often something that comes up around boardrooms. Jetson style, we're going to have little hovering robots who can help people find their way through my store, through my shop, help you do whatever it is you need to do. But actually, when we asked consumers about the role that a mobile can play in a shop, what they said was actually, it's less about making myself totally self-reliant. But actually, if you put that mobile in the shop assistant's hand or the, whoever it is who's helping me out, so that I can maybe order something online that was out of stock, find a new color, whatever it is, or just, help me find my way through a cavernous, 85,000 square foot store. If you can help employees to help me better, people said that they much preferred that to actually having to do anything themselves on their phone. Maybe we're just lazy. So what does this all mean? Why should any of this matter? And frankly, like I said, it's not particularly sexy stuff. But I think if you think about the number of companies today that are the digital equivalent of an elite athlete, there are not many. Even the tech giants of Silicon Valley struggle with a lot of things. There's a reason that they have employees, right? Google is not just a single web page with one guy sitting behind it. But the vast majority of companies have a finite amount of resource, whether that's people, time, or, of course, funding, to spend. And so the question is where are you putting your money? Are you putting it on the things that are going to make the biggest difference? And the equivalent of this lovely image behind me that I like to think about is if you're not an elite athlete, but maybe you're more like a middle-aged, overweight guy who's decided to try to get in shape, is going to advanced Pilates the right first step towards becoming more fit or more digitally fit? And the point is here is that, yes, of course, one day we should all aim for the stars. We should all aim to become, Olympic quality runners or digital players. But if you don't walk before you run, if you don't get the basics right, you're actually probably going to kill yourself in the process. Having done Pilates, I can say that it's not easy. So when you take a step back and you think about your favorite apps, the favorite things that you do on your phone, I think of Uber. My receipt is in my pocket before I get out of the car. Or Starbucks, I can walk in, and just as long as my phone is near me, they know what drink I want and what my name is, and I can pay. Or Amazon, how many of us have bought something by mistake, hitting one-click payment? The idea here is keep it simple, keep it clean, make it easy, and don't ask yourself, what can I do to be the next sexiest, greatest, coolest thing on the iTunes store? But how can I spend my finite amount of resource? Are you putting it on the things that are going to make the biggest difference? Thanks.